What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Grow with Breeze. In this video, I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step tutorial on exactly how to create and set up your own website using Squarespace. Now, if you want to get some general information on Squarespace itself, be sure to check out the full review of the web hosting site on the channel. And if at any time you are ready to go and ready to get started yourself, or if you just want to follow along during the tutorial, we have included the affiliate link to Squarespace in the video description, so be sure to click that link for the latest pricing, deals, and promotions. With that, let's get started. So right now, we currently are on Squarespace's website itself. Now, if you're coming here for the first time, you might want to know a little bit about what they offer. So if you do want to explore that, we got the product section right up here where you can see things like the services they offer, how to transfer a domain, and lots more. If you want to see what kind of templates they offer, you can go to the template section where they have a variety of different categories. And within those categories, there are a bunch of different templates. I believe there are about 70, but that number is most likely always going to be changing. This is what it looks like, but definitely I do recommend taking a look at the templates for yourself and really seeing what works best for you. Again, if you are ready to get started, be sure to click our affiliate link in the video description so you can get the info on the latest pricing and deals and promotions and all of that. But once you are ready, go ahead and hit get started. That's going to take you right to the template section where you can choose whatever template you want to start with. Now, this might look a little bit confusing at first because normally on a web hosting site or pretty much anything, something like the Get Started button is going to take you to a spot where you can create an account. But actually on Squarespace, the default way to get started is to choose a template. So for example, we're going to choose this one, and then it'll have you create your account after that. Now, if you already have an account, which I of course do, you can go ahead and just hit login and you'll be able to log in like normal. Now, once you're logged in, this is going to come up. It's basically a welcome screen. You can type in what you want to call your site if you know. So now we're going to hit continue. And it's going to give you a little tour of what the editor looks like. You can skip all this if you want, or you can look through it. It's really up to you. And now it's going to take you to the main dashboard right here. And you're going to see the editor right here in the middle and the different tabs of the dashboard on the side. I will be going through these tabs later in the video, but for now, we're going to focus on the editor. So to open the editor, it's a little bit different from some other platforms like Weebly and Wix. All you need to do is hit edit and it's going to take up the rest of the screen and you'll be able to edit your website. Now, Squarespace is actually really easy as far as the editor goes. There are two different things you can edit. The first thing is sections. That's basically anything where you can put a background like this, for example. We're going to go to the top section and you can actually edit it right here. Here you're going to be able to choose the format of the section. You can either change its size from small, medium, and large, and you can also change it manually with a numerical value by hitting these dots right here, and then you can adjust it here. You can also change the content width, the alignment, pretty much everything as far as the format goes. Then you can change the background, of course. You can use an image, video, something like that from your computer. You can also change the opacity and lots of other things. I definitely suggest when you're in this stage, really playing around with the effects and seeing if you can get something that really works for you, because there are lots of different options. You can also change the colors of the section, making them dark or bright depending on what you want the vibe of the website to be. So the next thing you can edit is called a content block, and this is where it gets just a tiny bit tricky, and it's a lot different from a site like Weebly where it's a really obvious drag and drop. With Squarespace, there's no spot to drag and drop different objects onto the website. What you have to do is go up to an existing content block and hit this plus right here, and it's going to give you the option of whatever piece of content you want to actually add to it. And then say you add a button. There we go. There's another little content block there. When you're editing one, it'll automatically select it and deselect everything else. And if you ever want to delete it, all you need to do is hit this little garbage can and it'll go away. It'll ask you if you're sure, just in case you hit the button on accident, which I think is nice because if you put all the time into making the perfect button or whatever piece of content you have on there, and then you accidentally hit the delete button, that would just be too bad. So it's nice that they have that little fail-safe just in case. But other than that, adding content and objects is really easy on Squarespace. It's just not quite as obvious as it might be on a different site like Weebly or Wix, where it's a little bit more clear. Now there's also the header that you can edit, and that's really important. You can edit the site title, different types of elements, and that sort of thing. And then the footer at the bottom is just as important, where you can put addresses, contact info, all that sort of thing, and really make it look as official as you want. So real quickly, I'm gonna be going over some of the key different types of content that you might wanna add to your website. We got texts, buttons, that basic stuff. You can have a form. And if you do have a little bit more advanced website building skills and you wanna get a little fancy with it, you can add code. Under the business section, you can add products. This is where you can get into the e-commerce side of things. Member signups is a really cool feature. And other website building platforms like Weebly, for example, do have this, but it's in a different tab. On Squarespace, it's a little bit easier to add just because it's put in there with all the other content. So it's a little bit more straightforward. Another cool thing about Squarespace that I don't think any other website building platforms have is a donation system. So if you're running something like a nonprofit, you're actually able to add donations to your site as specifically a dedicated donation center. Whereas on Weebly, I believe you have to actually add a donation as a product in the e-commerce section, which I personally don't like at all. It's pretty inconvenient and doesn't look very professional. Whereas with Squarespace, you can have a donation center and it really does look professional like any nonprofit should. At the end of the day, there are a lot of different pieces of content you can add to the website through content blocks, and I would encourage you to play around with it and see which types of content work best for your website. So if you ever want to change the font, color, or style of your whole website, there's a really easy way to do that. What you're going to do is go to the top right corner and hit this little paintbrush right here, and it's going to take you to the site styles section, where you're gonna be able to change all kinds of things in the website and really personalize it even more. It's really nice to be able to get all of this stuff in one place without having to go through pages individually and waste your time changing it for each one of them. Now say you're editing your site and you get everything looking completely good and you think you're ready to publish. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is make sure that it's optimized for mobile devices. You could have a website that looks amazing on a computer, but in this day and age, so many people are gonna be viewing your website on their mobile device. So it's a good idea to make sure that it looks good on there as well. To do that, you're gonna go to the top right corner, right next to Site Styles. We have this little icon right here for the mobile preview section. You're gonna hit that. And now you're gonna be able to see what it looks like on a mobile device. And unlike some sites like Weebly, for example, Squarespace actually allows you to edit your website in mobile view, so you don't have to worry about guessing what it's gonna look like while you're editing in the desktop section. If you want to go back to desktop view, just hit the same button and it's going to take you back. And of course, when you're done editing the website as a whole, you can hit done and it'll take you back to the home page. So now that we've gone over a little bit about what we can do with the editor, I'm going to go through some other pages and show you more of what Squarespace can do. So the first thing we're gonna go to is the pages. Now this is pretty straightforward. This basically controls which pages you have. You can change the titles, all that. You can also add a page simply by clicking add page right here. And it's going to give you a few different options on what kind of page you want it to be. So if you want to make a blog, if you want it to be a store, and this is cool because other sites like Weebly, for example, have these types of options, but they don't have specialized pages specifically for a store. So that's nice. If you're building a more e-commerce oriented site, this is going to help out a lot. There's going to be a lot that you're not going to have to spend your time setting up, because in a store type page, it's already going to be basically set up for you. To give you an idea of what this looks like, this is the store section. You're going to be able to choose from 2 different types of store pages and then go from there. If your page is more geared towards something like art, then a portfolio might be useful. Maybe you're a photographer or an artist of some sort. This could work really well. If it's more of an event-based page, then the events section, of course, will work too. And there's also the option to link to an external site, which is nice if you have something elsewhere. Now, another thing you can do with these pages is customize the settings. You can change general settings like the page title, stuff like search engine optimization, and then there are some more advanced options. If you do know a little bit about code, then this is going to be where you'll be able to do that sort of thing. But it's definitely something that's really based on your needs, and you'll want to play around with it and see what works best for you. So another thing that you can do is make a page that's called a not linked page. Now, these pages are still public. Visitors can still find them in search engines and that sort of thing, but they're not available in the navigation of the website. So for example, if you have a sign-up page of some sort that you get by pressing a button on the actual website itself, then it'll take you to that page. It's more or less like a landing page, but if you don't click the link, you're not going to actually be able to get to it just by navigating through the website. This can be really useful, especially if you have more sign-up pages and information pages and that sort of thing, and a lot of them, then you might want to use this feature more often, just because having a ton of different pages in some situations might get a little cluttery. And it's nice to be able to have a different option to lead viewers to certain pages. So the next thing we're going to look at is the design section. Now, this is where you can change the style of certain different key elements of your website that really make it stand out. And this is another thing I really like about Squarespace. All these details are so meticulously done to the point where when you're looking for a website building platform, you might not even think of these little things. Like, for example, the browser icon. Honestly, when I'm thinking about designing a website, that type of thing doesn't even come to mind. And then stuff like the 404 page. Every website is going to have errors once in a while, and you can actually customize the 404 page on your website with Squarespace and make it look however you want it to. So if you have a really specific theme, you can include it in that. And there's really so much more that you can change aesthetically about your site through the design section. The commerce section is where all of the e-commerce stuff happens. Here, you're going to be able to do things like manage your orders, see your inventory, all the information about your customers, if you have subscribers or just regular customers, people who donate. Again, if you run a nonprofit, I do think Squarespace is one of the best, if not the best platform to go for that, because they have so much more than other website building platforms in the way of donations and that sort of thing. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg. We have selling tools here with point of sale information, related products, wait lists, all this kind of stuff, notifications. So if you want to give customers notifications, if you want low stock alerts, if you're running out of supply, or if you just want to be prepared for when you start to sell out in your inventory. And then of course, payments, you can do stuff with taxes and accounting, and customer accounts is a really big one, because if you're selling something, if your website is primarily an e-commerce store, you're going to want customers to be able to log into their accounts, because you're of course going to want repeat business, and this is going to help it out a lot. Next, we have the marketing section. Now, the marketing section has a ton of things, just like all these sections really do. It's really detailed and, of course, focused on giving you the most professional, high-quality experience. So you can do email campaigns. That's a really big one. And Squarespace actually has its own email marketing system built into the platform, so it's really easy to use. Search engine optimization is another really important thing when you're doing marketing. So you want to make sure that your website shows up as easily as it possibly can. in stuff like Google searches. So you're definitely gonna wanna take a look at the SEO section because they have a lot of really helpful tools and settings that you can use. Location management is a good one. If you have a brick and mortar business or if you have multiple locations, then this can help a lot too. Pop-ups is one that I think is really cool. Have you ever been to a website looking to buy something and something pops up that asks for your email address saying you'll get 10% off or something like that? Well, that's what the pop-up section is actually for, and it allows you to really engage with your visitors in that fashion. And again, with the e-commerce, if that is your main function of your website, this is gonna be really important for you. You're definitely gonna wanna look at that. And then there's a lot of other stuff. Instagram stories is one I actually haven't seen on other platforms. There's stuff with Facebook Pixel and ads. Weebly and Wix both have this too. It's a pretty standard thing, but it is still important. URL builder, Google Ads credit, all sorts of things that you can use for marketing. It's a really loaded section with a lot of extremely powerful tools, so I do recommend taking some time to familiarize yourself with it while you're building your own website. So if you have a business that's appointment based in any way, so you have a barber shop, or maybe you're an accountant and you want to book calls with potential clients, whatever the case may be, scheduling is going to be really useful for you because it's going to allow people to book appointments with you through your website, and it's really easy to manage both for them and for you. Analytics is pretty straightforward. Basically, a bunch of different tools that talk about the traffic that goes to your website. It gives you information on how many people view it, what they're viewing, where they're located, all sorts of demographics. This is also where abandoned cart emails are managed. Now that is actually a really nice feature if you have an e-commerce store. So if somebody's on your website and you already have their email, but they don't actually check out even though they have items in their cart, you're actually able to send them emails to remind them that they have something in their cart, and hopefully that'll lead them back to your site and have them actually complete the purchase. If you have your website set up for customer accounts, then you can go to the profiles section to manage them and see how many subscribers or members you have on your site. The settings section is for general settings, whether it's social links, information about your languages, and just more of the general stuff like that. This is also where you're able to publish your website. Now, you actually do have to upgrade in order to publish your website, and I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of the prices. So we got personal for $12 a month. Now this is the most basic plan you can have. I don't recommend it if you're trying to do something for a business. That's basically more if you're doing like a school project or a personal blog, something that's not really gonna be monetized. I would say business is okay for some more physical businesses where you're not doing payments and stuff like that online, because there is, as you can see right here, a 3% transaction fee. And you're not gonna want that if you're gonna be selling anything on your website. So if you do plan on doing any sort of e-commerce, I would say Commerce Basic or Commerce Advanced, depending on what your needs are gonna be the ones for you. If you have more of a physical business where you just need the website for information about that business before people go and visit it, like say a restaurant where you wanna put your menu, a barber shop where people might be able to schedule appointments and that sort of thing, but you're not actually taking payments through the website, then business should be okay. And if you're just doing something for fun, or if it's just a personal blog of some sort, maybe you have a wedding website or something like that, then personal is okay. But I do recommend taking a look at the differences between these different plans for yourself, because there are a lot of them. And when you are ready to get started, we do have our affiliate link to Squarespace in the video description. So be sure to check that out so you can get the latest information on the pricing, deals, and promotions that are going on right now. One other thing I do want to point out about Squarespace's pricing is domains, because right here it does say there's a free custom domain for all of the different plans, which is actually really cool because other web hosting platforms like Weebly, for example, only have it for certain plans, and I believe Wix is the same way. Now that being said, this is not an indefinite thing. This free custom domain is only for the first year after you purchase a plan. After that, it's gonna be $20 a year, which is pretty standard. Most platforms do have their domains for about $20 a year, which really isn't that much money, especially if you're gonna be running a business from it. But just be aware of that so it doesn't come to you as a hidden cost later. And then of course, the last thing is really the help section. Hopefully nothing ever goes wrong, but the help center is here if you need it. This section contains lots of different things from frequently asked questions to tutorial videos, all sorts of stuff. And there's also Squarespace's virtual assistant, which is right here on the bottom right corner by this question mark. If you hit that, you're gonna have different options from a tour to the website to all different walkthroughs showing you how to do really specific things on the site. I think it's really cool. And usually I don't think virtual assistants are very helpful, but Squarespace's virtual assistant is actually really good. And if you do really need support to resolve an issue, you can hit the 3 dots on the assistant and there's a contact center right here. But that was a quick rundown on how you can create and set up your own website using Squarespace. If you want to learn a little bit more about Squarespace itself and what the benefits and drawbacks are of using it for your website, be sure to check out the full review of Squarespace on the channel. And if you're ready to get started, we have included our affiliate link in the video description. It'll take you right to Squarespace where you can see all the latest info on pricing, deals, and promotions. But I hope you enjoyed the video and hopefully you found the tutorial useful as well. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in the next Grow with Breeze video.